story of 2025, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps the darkest chapter in Indian judiciary. For the first time, there is a direct allegation that has been leveled against a sitting judge. And the allegation is of a large pile of cash that has been recovered, unaccounted cash. In fact, it turns out that a fire was reported from the residence of a sitting judge in the national capital. And when the fire services actually reached the spot to douse the fire, along with the police, they found unaccounted cash. Interestingly, there is no mention of that unaccounted cash in a report that has been filed by the Delhi Fire Services. And suddenly you have the Delhi Fire Chief saying that this is a sensitive matter and that is the reason why they cannot comment. But the larger story that basically emerges is the response that has really come in from the Supreme Court Collegium. Now, this very judge that faces some grave charges has now been transferred to Allahabad High Court, resulting in a major backlash with the Allahabad High Court Bar Association saying that, look here, we are not a bin where you can perhaps trash anyone. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, on This Is Exclusive, we have a legal luminary joining us on this broadcast, where you have the former Attorney General of India, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, calling for a complete reform that is basically required, because remember, the impeachment process is a laborious process altogether and a time-taking process, resulting in a situation that you have some sort of a guard that has been provided to someone who has been accused. Here in this particular case, once again, Mukul Rohatgi is saying that while the process is long, it is important that it is a proper reform is essentially ushered in. Listen to what Mr. Mukul Rohatgi had to say. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, we are joined by a legal luminary and former Attorney General, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi. Mr. Rohatgi, thank you very much for speaking to Republic TV. Let me straight away begin by asking you, this perhaps has now been seen as one of the biggest scandals to have hit the Indian judiciary. A sitting judge from whose residence cash was allegedly recovered. Now the question is the response really coming in from the Supreme Court Collegium. Many are saying that the transfer is not good enough. How do you really look into this entire issue?
See, first of all, I must tell you, and the viewers must understand, that the only power of the Chief Justice is to either transfer the judge or ensure that the judge does not dispense justice or carry on his duties. So it becomes like a suspension. That's the only thing the Chief Justice of India could have done. The Chief Justice of India does not have power to dismiss a judge, like a power between an employer and an employee. So the only thing additionally which could have been done was to take away the power to dispense justice. That is what could have been done. The system otherwise for removal of a judge is extremely laborious.
Right.
It is provided in the Constitution that there has to be a motion for impeachment. Impeachment can only be if 100 members in Lok Sabha sign a motion and give it to the chairman, or give it to the speaker, or 50 members of Rajya Sabha sign a motion and give it to the chairman. Right. Then the matter has to be admitted for hearing. Thereafter, a committee has to be appointed under the Constitution and the Judges Enquiry Act. That committee will have to have a full-blown procedure which takes several months. And then a report is given to the House. Then the House will deliberate. Thereafter, 2/3 of the members present and voting will have to take a call. This system is so laborious that in the last 75 years, no impeachment has occurred. Therefore, there is a very urgent requirement for streamlining the disciplinary process, including removal.
Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, it has reignited this entire debate in a situation like this, particularly what you mentioned, that we haven't really seen an impeachment primarily because it is a laborious process. Having said that, perhaps is this an opportune moment to really look into this entire issue and perhaps put in motion what many would say the much needed reform?
According to me, a complete revamp of the entire system and the rules has to take place, starting from the manner of appointment of a judge of the High Court or the Supreme Court. That was the need of the hour when the NJC bill was moved about 10 years back, which the Supreme Court struck down, and which I may say with great respect, the Supreme Court wanted to retain the power of appointment to itself. In no country in the world do judges appoint judges. There have to be outsiders in a committee to judge the suitability of a lawyer to become a judge. Unfortunately, that attempt failed. That is how the process starts. So if the process of appointment is faulty, it can lead to more chances of undesirable people being appointed. So you fix that first, then you fix the system for removal. Remove this impeachment motion completely, have a far swifter system by amending the Constitution and the Judges Inquiry Act. Make a committee of some judges, retired and sitting, which will include some outsiders like jurists,
right,
lawyers, maybe parliamentarians, and people of probity in national life. Make that a committee, let them look at it, let it be open, let it be transparent, and that is the only way to move forward, not in this manner of a snail's pace.
Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, as we speak, there is also a statement that has now been issued by the Supreme Court, and I would like to quote. They say that there is misinformation, rumors being spread with regard to the incident, the proposal for the transfer of Mr. Justice Yashwant Varma, who's the second senior-most judge in the Delhi High Court, to his parent High Court, where he will be the ninth in seniority, is independent, separate from the in-house inquiry procedure. Now, the question here that many are also asking is with regards to the alleged recovery of cash. It turns out that a report of the Delhi Fire Services makes no mention of the cash recovery. And that is the reason why perhaps it leads to a lot of speculation that is there an attempt of cover-up, or perhaps this has not been done the manner in which it should have. At least the fact that the cash recovery should have been mentioned.
See, according to me, it is very, very confusing and puzzling. Till I read a report of the statement of the fire officer on your channel on the telephone just now,
right,
everybody is proceeding on the basis that hundreds of wads of cash have been recovered. Now we have a statement that no cash is recovered. I don't know what the facts are. Either the government should put out all the facts, because the government will also have the facts. I am sure the Home Ministry was in the know of the whole thing. Either they should say it or the Supreme Court should say it. If nothing is recovered, as the fire officer is saying, then why the transfer? Because you see, a transfer of in the facts of such a case, right, is kind of a death knell of the reputation of the judge concerned. Now, the judge was, I mean, I have appeared before him on hundreds of occasions. I found him to be clever and hardworking. Now, I don't know, if there is no cash, then why all this is happening? So the whole thing, you see, is completely opaque even now. And according to me, the Supreme Court should set out, issue a circular or a memorandum saying telling the public at large as to the entire process and the entire thing which has unraveled itself, starting from the fire, who called the fire department, how it was lodged, where was the fire, What did they search? Did they search the entire house? Where was that money? Where was that room? Was it in the servant quarter? Was it in the guard room? Was it in the main house? Was it locked? Was it unlocked? Because no member of the family was present. So, the facts are somewhat bizarre. Therefore, the public is entitled to know what the real thing is.
One final question, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi. There is an argument that has been made that there's an iron curtain when it comes to dealing with the judges of our country, and perhaps there is a reason for it. But having said that, such a situation or such an incident, and some incidents that have happened in the past, perhaps raises this question that is it time to remove that iron curtain, or else the faith that people have in the Indian judiciary would be completely eroded if action is not taken or action is seen to be taken?
See, let us start from the basics. Everybody is equal under the laws, whether it be a judge, whether it be the Prime Minister, whether it be a minister, whether it be a parliamentarian or anybody. If you commit an offence, the law must take its own course. The only cover or a defense in the case of judges is that the nature of duties that they do, it is very easy for a disgruntled litigant to immediately lodge a complaint with the court or the Chief Justice after having lost a case before a judge that the judge is corrupt or the judge did something improper. So you need to filter that, because any day large number of complaints are made which are completely frivolous. That is why you have a little more like a layer of protection. But that does not mean that the system must be opaque. That does not mean that there must be an iron curtain. The need of the hour is a complete revamp in favor of transparency and swiftness.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, for taking out the time and speaking to us.